Have you ever asked yourself why real love feels so different from everything else you've experienced? Why, in the middle of all the noise, all the doubt, and all the confusion of this world, there can suddenly come a stillness so pure that it quiets everything inside of you? That stillness is not random. That stillness is not ordinary. It is the whisper of peace, and when it arrives, it carries the weight of heaven behind it. Most people mistake love for excitement. They think it's about butterflies in the stomach, or about the thrill of being wanted. But butterflies fade, and thrills never last. What God gives is not fleeting, it's eternal. His confirmation is not the high of infatuation, but the depth of peace that steadies your heart. It is not loud, not dramatic, but quiet. A quiet assurance that says, you don't have to fear, you don't have to question, you don't have to wonder anymore. This is safe, this is solid, this is mine. Think about how much fear has ruled the choices of so many. Fear of being alone, fear of choosing wrong, fear of wasting years on someone who was never meant for them. That fear keeps hearts restless, searching endlessly for something they cannot name. But the moment you encounter a connection from God, that restlessness begins to die. The questions grow quiet, the anxiety loses its grip, because true confirmation does not come through chaos, it comes through peace. Peace is not weakness, peace is strength. It is strength in the form of clarity. It is strength in the form of calmness. It is the deep knowing that you no longer have to fight for love to prove itself, because the love God ordains proves itself in silence. You feel secure not because the other person is flawless, but because the presence of God hovers over the relationship. And wherever His presence is, peace cannot be denied. How do you recognize it? You recognize it in the way your heart no longer races with anxiety, but beats with assurance. You recognize it in the way you no longer replay scenarios in your head, wondering if you are good enough or if tomorrow they will still choose you. You recognize it in the way your soul finally rests, because what is from God does not torment, it heals. What is from God does not confuse, it clarifies. What is from God does not chain you, it frees you. Many people ignore this quiet sign because it feels so different from what the world teaches love should be. The world teaches you to chase sparks, to chase drama, to chase the highs and lows of emotions that burn fast and fade quickly. But sparks are not flames, and drama is not love. The whisper of peace will never look like the chaos of counterfeit affection. It will never demand you to question your worth. It will never keep you awake at night wondering if you matter. Instead, it will feel like home, not because it's ordinary, but because it was always meant to be. When God is in the connection, your soul knows it. Even if your mind tries to resist, even if fear tries to argue, there will be a calm that cannot be shaken. You may not be able to explain it to others, but you will feel it. A sense that everything is finally aligning. A sense that you don't need to force, don't need to push, don't need to beg, because what God ordains will never require you to fight for what was already written for you. And this peace carries reward far beyond your emotions. It becomes the foundation for your future. When love is built on peace, storms may come, but the house stands strong. Problems may arise, but fear does not take control. Because the anchor of peace holds everything steady, that anchor is priceless. It saves you from years of heartbreak, from chasing what was never yours, from pouring your soul into counterfeits that only leave you empty. The beauty of this quiet confirmation is that it changes the way you see love altogether. You stop running after chaos. You stop mistaking confusion for passion. You stop letting fear dictate your choices. And instead, you wait with patience, with wisdom, with courage, because you know that when the right one comes, you will feel it. not in the noise of your emotions, but in the stillness of your soul. That is why you must stay attentive to the whisper of peace, because it is not just a feeling, it is a message from God that tells you, this is different, this is not imitation, this is not temporary. This is covenant, and once you have experienced it, once you have stood in that stillness and felt the weight of God's presence in your connection, you will never again settle for anything less. Stay with this truth, because if you can recognize the whisper of peace, you will never again be fooled by the roar of chaos. You will no longer chase what drains you. You will no longer confuse temporary highs for eternal love. Instead, you will know deep in your spirit that the one who brings peace is the one heaven has chosen, and that knowing will be the greatest gift you will ever carry into love. Peace is the first whisper, but God does not stop there. When He brings the right person into your life, you will notice something even deeper taking place. Your purpose begins to align. This is not about surface, level attraction, or shared hobbies. It is about destiny. A true partner sent by God does not distract you from who you are called to be. They do not pull you off your path or drain your focus. Instead, they sharpen it. They stand beside you and remind you of what you were created to do. Their presence pushes you forward, not backward. Think about how many relationships collapse because one person has to shrink their dreams to keep the other comfortable. That is not divine order, that is bondage. When love is ordained, it never asks you to bury your calling just to make the relationship work. Instead, it breathes life into your vision. It reminds you that your purpose matters, and it creates space for you to walk in it fully. Purpose alignment is powerful because it confirms that the relationship is not just about happiness. It is about impact. Happiness is important, but it is temporary. Impact is eternal. The right partner will not only celebrate your joy, but will also strengthen your mission. They will not only love who you are today, but they will believe in who you are becoming. And with them beside you, the road that once felt heavy begins to feel possible. You will recognize this alignment because the connection does not compete with your calling, it complements it. The conversations you have are not just about the present moment, but about building a future. The encouragement they give does not flatter your ego, it fuels your spirit. And when you start to doubt yourself, they speak words that reignite your faith. This kind of support cannot be faked, because it flows from a heart that is tuned to the same frequency as yours. Purpose alignment also reveals itself in the direction your lives naturally move. You may not have the same career or the same daily routines, but your values point toward the same horizon. Your steps begin to move in rhythm, not because you are forcing them, but because God has orchestrated them. That flow is a sign that destiny is at work. Two paths, once separate, now merging into one journey, designed to carry out something greater together than either could achieve alone. The beauty of this is that it removes the constant tug-of war that so many relationships face. When purpose is misaligned, one person is always being pulled in a direction that doesn't fit. Resentment builds, energy drains, love weakens. But when purpose is aligned, the relationship becomes a source of strength. You don't feel like you are choosing between love and calling. You realize that real love empowers your calling. That is when you know the connection is not only emotional but divine. And this alignment is not only about what you gain, it is also about what you give. A true partner does not just pour into you, they also receive from you. Your presence fuels their dreams, your words ignite their faith, your vision encourages their courage. Together, you create a cycle of growth that cannot be broken because both hearts are being fed. It is not one person carrying the weight of destiny, it is both, moving as one. This is why the enemy fights aligned relationships so fiercely. Because when two people are walking in unity, their impact multiplies. Their prayers carry more power, their vision carries more weight, their presence together becomes a light that cannot be ignored. That is why counterfeits will always try to distract you. That is why fear and confusion will always try to cloud your judgment. Because if the enemy can keep you from alignment, he can keep you from power. But once you recognize alignment, you will never again mistake distraction for love. You will see clearly that love which pulls you off your path is not love, it is a chain. And love that pushes you toward your calling is the love that carries heaven's stamp. Ask yourself this: do they help you rise, or do they hold you back? Do they feed your faith, or do they weaken it? Do they make you more of who God created you to be, or less? These questions are not about perfection, they are about alignment. The right person may not have all the answers, but they will stand with you as you seek them. They may not remove every obstacle, but they will never become the obstacle. And in their presence, you will know that your purpose has a partner. When love and purpose align, it changes everything. You stop seeing the relationship as just a bond between two people and start seeing it as a covenant that carries destiny. You realize that the connection is not just about comfort, but about calling. And when you walk in that kind of union, you become unstoppable, not because of your own strength, but because of the divine alignment that heaven has set in place. This is why you cannot afford to settle for less. Anything less will leave you unfulfilled, restless, and smaller than you were created to be, but the one God sends will expand you, sharpen you, and elevate you into your true identity. That is the power of alignment. It is not only love, it is destiny in motion. When two lives begin to align under God's purpose, something even more extraordinary unfolds. You begin to grow in ways you never imagined. But what makes this growth sacred is not that it is forced, demanded, or pressured. It is that it flows naturally. Real love, the kind heaven sends, does not make you feel like you are constantly failing, never enough, or always behind. Instead, it creates an atmosphere where growth feels safe, where progress is inspired, not demanded, where change comes from love, not fear. So many hearts carry scars from relationships that suffocated them, relationships where every flaw was magnified, every mistake weaponized, and every shortcoming used as a reason to withdraw affection. That is not God's design. That is not how love was meant to feel. Divine love does not shrink you under the weight of judgment. It lifts you into the possibility of who you can become. It does not shame you into change. It inspires you toward transformation. You can recognize this by the freedom you feel in their presence. You don't feel like you have to wear a mask, pretending to be someone you are not. You don't fear that your imperfections will push them away. Instead, you sense that your honesty is safe, your vulnerability is honored, and your process is respected. That safety becomes the soil where true growth can take root, because where there is fear, growth withers. But where there is love, growth flourishes. The beauty of growth without fear is that it changes the very way you see yourself. When someone loves you while also encouraging your potential, you begin to believe in yourself more deeply. You start to stretch into areas you once thought were impossible. You take steps toward dreams that once felt too far, and every time you stumble, you do not collapse under shame. You rise again, knowing you are supported. That is the power of love that reflects God's heart. It builds, it strengthens, it renews. This kind of love does not keep score. It does not hold your past against you. It does not keep reminding you of your failures. Instead, it speaks life into your present and your future. It sees your flaws, but also sees your potential. It notices your weaknesses, but believes in your strength. And in that belief, something incredible happens. You begin to grow into the very person God intended you to be. And here is the truth. Growth in a divine connection is never one-sided. You will see both lives being refined, both hearts being sharpened, both souls being strengthened, because the right partner is not just watching your progress, they are walking in progress with you. They are not standing over you, demanding change, they are beside you, pursuing growth together. That unity creates a bond that cannot be broken, because it is not built on fear of losing each other, but on faith in becoming more together. Notice how this growth feels different from pressure. Pressure says, change or I will not love you. Love says, I love you, and because I love you, I will stand with you as you grow. Pressure demands results without grace. Love celebrates progress with patience. Pressure tears down with criticism. Love builds up with encouragement, and while pressure leaves you exhausted, love leaves you empowered. That empowerment is the quiet sign of God's hand over your relationship. What does this look like in real life? It looks like patience when you fall short. It looks like encouragement when you feel stuck. It looks like accountability without condemnation, and challenge without shame. It looks like a safe place where you can fail forward, knowing that your worth is not on trial. That kind of environment is rare, but it is the evidence of a connection designed by heaven. When you experience this, you begin to see why God values covenant so highly. Because covenant love does not just survive hardships, it grows through them. It does not break under the weight of imperfection. It uses imperfection as a stage for grace. It does not flee when progress is slow, it stays, because it knows that love is not about speed, but about faithfulness. This is the kind of love that lasts. This is the kind of love that transforms. And the reward of this growth is not just personal, it is spiritual. As you grow, your relationship becomes a testimony. Others can see the change in you, not because you were pressured into being someone else, but because love made you brave enough to step into your highest self. Growth without fear is one of God's clearest signatures, because only His love can create that kind of freedom. If you ever wonder whether someone is truly your soul's partner, look closely at this. Do they inspire you to rise, or do they crush you under pressure? Do they make you feel free to grow, or do they make you afraid to fail? The answer will tell you everything, because the one God sends will always reflect His love, a love that transforms but never torments, a love that challenges but never condemns, a love that frees but never enslaves. This is the sign that cannot be denied. Growth without fear is not ordinary, it is sacred. And once you taste it, you will know that you are standing in the presence of something holy. It is in that kind of love that you find the courage to step fully into who you were always created to be. Growth without fear is a rare treasure, but even that is not the final seal, because no matter how much peace you feel, no matter how much alignment you see, no matter how much growth you experience, the ultimate confirmation must come from above. When God has authored a bond, He will not leave you in uncertainty. He will provide clarity that silences doubt, signs that align with His word, and a spiritual knowing that no one can take away. This confirmation is not always dramatic. Sometimes it arrives in whispers rather than shouts, a scripture that leaps off the page when you read it, a prayer answered in a way that leaves no room for coincidence, a door that opens so smoothly you know no human hand could have arranged it. It is heaven quietly signaling that His hand is in the midst of your story, and when you lean into that, confusion fades, because what God ordains comes with clarity, not chaos. Notice how counterfeits always leave you second, guessing. They fill your mind with questions. Are they the one? Can I trust this? Why does my spirit feel unsettled? That endless cycle of doubt is not from God. His confirmation does not torment the mind, it steadies it. It does not stir panic, it brings stillness. And when the relationship is ordained, you will know not because every circumstance looks perfect, but because your spirit feels anchored. God's confirmation also shows itself through alignment of circumstances. Things begin to fall into place in ways you could never plan. Paths cross at the right time. Opportunities arise that bring you closer, not apart. Obstacles that could have destroyed you are suddenly moved. It is as if heaven has gone before you, preparing the way, arranging the details, and ensuring that no weapon formed against the union will prosper. This is not luck, it is divine orchestration. Another mark of confirmation is protection. Have you noticed how some relationships drain you, expose you, and leave you vulnerable? That is because they are not covered. But when God ordains a match, He places His shield over it. You feel guarded in ways you cannot explain. Attacks may come, but they cannot break you. Distractions may rise, but they lose their hold. What God seals, no one can unseal. That divine covering becomes proof that you are standing inside His will. And perhaps the most undeniable confirmation is the inner witness of the Holy Spirit. That still, small voice that speaks to your heart when everything else feels uncertain. You may not be able to explain it to others, but you will feel it deep within, a knowing that goes beyond logic, beyond circumstances, beyond fear. This is not just emotional reassurance, it is spiritual revelation. It is God's way of saying, "This is my doing, and it is marvelous in your eyes." Do not underestimate the power of this inner witness, because when storms come, when doubts try to creep in, when challenges test the bond, it is that spiritual knowing that will hold you steady. Human words may fail, feelings may fluctuate, circumstances may shift, but when God has spoken into your spirit, that truth becomes unshakable, and no matter what arises, you return to that place of certainty. This is covenant, not coincidence. It is important to remember that God does not confirm through fear or desperation. He does not pressure you with panic or rush you with anxiety. His confirmation is never manipulative, it is freeing. It may come with conviction, but never with confusion. It may require faith, but it will always carry peace. If you feel trapped, manipulated, or endlessly uncertain, that is not the voice of God. The true confirmation of heaven will always lead you into rest, not turmoil. When you receive this kind of confirmation, everything changes. You stop needing constant reassurance from people because you already carry assurance from God. You stop chasing validation in the opinions of others because the Spirit within you has already validated the connection. You stop fearing the future because you know the author of your story has already written it. That freedom is priceless. It gives you courage to love fully, to trust deeply, and to walk confidently into your destiny together. And this is why the final confirmation is so important, because human judgment is limited. Feelings are fragile, circumstances can deceive, but God's voice cannot lie. His confirmation is the seal that protects you from counterfeits, the anchor that secures you in uncertainty, and the light that guides you when everything else feels dark. When you receive it, you no longer chase after signs in desperation. You simply rest, because you know heaven has spoken. This is the quiet yet powerful way God affirms what He has joined. It may not look like the world's version of love, but it carries a weight the world cannot imitate. Peace in your spirit, alignment in your purpose, growth without fear, and the undeniable confirmation of God Himself. Together, these are not just signs, they are promises. Promises that you are not walking into chance, but into covenant. Promises that your love is not random but written. Promises that your connection is not fragile but fortified by heaven. And once you see these promises unfold, once you recognize these quiet confirmations, you will never again question whether love is real. You will know that God has spoken, that heaven has moved, and that destiny has arrived. When God confirms something in your life, He does not merely whisper it once and walk away. He seals it. That seal is the mark of destiny. It is the quiet realization that what you are stepping into is not fragile, not temporary, not accidental, but eternal in its purpose. A true soul partner is not just someone you love. They are someone who helps you fulfill why you were created. They are more than a companion for your days. They are a covenant for your destiny. This seal becomes clear in the way the relationship withstands storms. When trials come, as they surely will, the bond does not crumble, it strengthens. Challenges do not drive you apart. They drive you deeper into each other and deeper into God. You realize that this love was never meant to be a fairy tale without battles, but a covenant that proves itself in battles. Counterfeits fall apart in adversity, but the one God sends shines brighter when tested. That is the power of His seal. It also reveals itself in the fruit the relationship produces. You begin to notice that your life carries more meaning, more focus, more strength than before. You are not just happier, you are holier. You are not just more fulfilled, you are more aligned with heaven's plan. That is because real love does not simply make you feel good, it makes you become good. It draws out the best in you, not because of pressure, but because of presence. And when both of you are walking in that truth, the world cannot ignore the impact of your union. The seal of destiny is also found in longevity, not simply in years spent together, but in the way the love deepens with time instead of fading. Infatuation weakens with distance, but covenant grows stronger. Temporary attraction gets bored when the excitement fades, but divine connection thrives in the ordinary. It finds beauty in silence, joy in the simple moments, and strength in the everyday. That kind of consistency is proof that what you hold is not man-made, but God-breathed. You will also feel the seal in the way your relationship influences others. People begin to see hope where they had lost it. They begin to believe again in the possibility of love that is pure, patient, and enduring. Your bond becomes a living testimony, a reflection of God's heart for His people. Without preaching a word, your love itself becomes a message, and the message is simple. What God ordains, He sustains. Do not underestimate how powerful this is. The enemy wants nothing more than to distort love, to make people believe that it cannot last, that it cannot be pure, that it cannot align with purpose. But when you walk in a God-ordained connection, you become living proof that the lies are false. You become evidence that love can still be holy, still be powerful, still be destiny. That is why your covenant matters more than you know. It is not just for you, it is for the generations who will be touched by it. And here lies the final truth. When you meet the one God has chosen, you will not just recognize them by how they make you feel, but by what they awaken in you. They will awaken peace. They will awaken purpose. They will awaken growth. They will awaken faith. And when God confirms it, He will place His seal upon it so firmly that even in your weakest moments, you will know you are standing inside His plan. This seal is not a guarantee that everything will be easy, but it is a guarantee that everything will be worth it. It is a promise that even in storms, you will not stand alone. Even in doubt, you will not be lost. Even in trials, you will not be destroyed. because what God joins together carries His covering, His strength, and His unshakable hand. And once you have tasted this kind of love, once you have felt its peace, walked in its purpose, grown through its safety, and received heaven's confirmation, you will never again settle for less. You will never again confuse chaos with connection. You will never again chase counterfeits disguised as destiny, because you will know, deep in your soul, that real love does not come through striving, it comes through surrender to God's plan. This is the seal of destiny, a love that endures, a love that uplifts, a love that reflects heaven itself. And when you find it, you will realize that it was never about luck, never about chance, never about desperation. It was always about divine timing, divine preparation, and divine order. And when that moment arrives, you will know not with fear, not with doubt, but with the quiet, unshakable certainty that God has placed His hand on your heart and written your story with His own.